Man, what is really going on with Sheryl Swoopes on her thoughts on Caitlin Clark? Now, it's all well documented on how Sheryl Swoopes feels about Caitlin Clark and how she feels about Angel Reese. But now, is Sheryl Swoopes trying to push a different agenda? But before we get off into today's podcast, tell a friend to tell a friend. Man, Sheryl Swoopes is back in the headlines again, man. And it's not looking good for Sheryl Swoopes this time. It's all well documented on how Sheryl Swoopes feels about the WNBA and its current state right now. Sheryl Swoopes has said a lot of things about particular players such as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Now, we've seen Sheryl Swoopes at a couple of the Chicago Sky's games, you know, in support of Angel Reese. We've seen the game that Chicago beat Indiana, and after the game, Angel Reese was over there hugging Sheryl Swoopes, and Sheryl Swoopes was congratulating her. And it seems that every time they talk about the Rookie of the Year discussion, you know, Sheryl Swoopes, you know, gives her praises to Angel Reese, saying that, you know, Angel Reese is her Rookie of the Year. That's her own personal opinion. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with her personal opinion in that sense. But now, I mean, you can't really defend Sheryl Swoopes on what her latest outburst was. Because me personally, I thought it was utterly ridiculous. Like I said, I don't know if she is, you know, has another agenda. I don't know if she's doing this deliberately to get underneath of people's skin. I really don't know how she really feels about Caitlin Clark. But, you know, she has a podcast with Jordan Robertson called Queens of the Court. And they sat down and they was talking about the two teams, the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, which she said that the Olympic break benefited a lot of teams, but she said it really benefited the Indiana Fever, and it looked like Chicago Sky was going in a different direction. So when she sat down and was talking to Jordan Robinson, she was talking about the two teams, and she had some interesting things to say about the Indiana Fever team. And then when it got off into the Chicago portion of it, she mentioned Angel Reese in the 20 rebound game that she had against Phoenix in a blowout. So guys, I want y'all to listen to what Sheryl Swoopes had to say about this Indiana Fever team. And I want y'all to pay attention and let me know what was noticeably missing from the little interview when she was talking about the Indiana Fever. Take a listen.
I do want to say this because we talked about the Olympic break, who it could help, who it could hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the complete opposite with two teams, the 7th and 8th place team. I think the Olympic break really helped Indiana.
Absolutely.
Like, they look like they've spent time, whether they took time off or not, but they worked on stuff. This Indiana team, I'm going to say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. I know we're talking about teams where they can move and things changing, but if Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standings. Right?
They look like a different team. They came out firing. Yeah, that's a great point. Great
the break
point.
for sure helped them. And I feel like the break really hurt Chicago. I know they made a trade right before the Olympic break, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and this is the first game. So they lost to Phoenix in Chicago. Then they go beat LA in LA, right? Then they lost to Phoenix at Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did double.
Yeah, sorry. So before I get into that, I am going to say this. Shout out to Angel Reese, even in a loss. Listen, 20 boards.
It's crazy.
20 boards. Say what you want to say.
Man, I found that kind of hilarious, man. And I think her co-host, Jordan Robinson, I think she was laughing at the fact of what Sheryl Swoopes was saying, because she was chuckling, because I think she was chuckling because Sheryl Swoopes sidestepped Caitlin Clark out of that Indiana Fever take. And I find that, me personally, that is total disrespect. That Sheryl Swoopes totally disrespected Caitlin Clark in that take. Not to mention Caitlin Clark's name in that Indiana Fever take. And she named names like Lexi Hall, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston. How do you leave Caitlin Clark out of that scenario? And I think that's why Jordan Robinson was laughing. I think she found it funny, like, Sheryl, come on now. And like I said, I think Sheryl Swoopes is pushing a different agenda about Caitlin Clark. And then when she referenced, the Chicago Sky, she had to first say, I want to give kudos to Angel Reese for the 20 rebound game in that 20-point blowout to the Phoenix Mercury. Now, Sheryl Swoopes is a Hall of Famer. We know she's well decorated. We know the championship she has with the Houston Comets. But this right here, it's a little overboard. And I think she has a different agenda. I don't know if I can take Sheryl Swoopes serious, but it's comical and it's funny because she's ruffling a lot of feathers. And I think she don't mind doing that. But we all know that when you talk about the Indiana Fever team, you have to talk about Caitlin Clark. And she missed the opportunity there to really right her wrongs from the stuff that she has said in the past, where people think that she's really just straight out hating on Caitlin Clark. She's jealous of Caitlin Clark. But she had an opportunity, to stand on business and say, hey, this team, since the Olympic break, coming back, they've come out firing on all cylinders, and Caitlin Clark is one of the main reasons. But for her to just hopscotch over Caitlin Clark's name, not to mention it, I just think she's pushing a different agenda. But it's all well documented. But that right there, that was just glaring. Like, you just totally just disrespected Caitlin Clark to the fullest. And, people are coming at Sheryl Swoopes. They're going on her Twitter X, calling her out. It's a lot of mainstream media talking about it. A lot of people in the YouTube media space talking about it. But, me personally, I got to disagree with Sheryl Swoopes on this. I don't know what you're doing, sister. I don't know what agenda you're pushing. But that was downright total disrespect. It is what it is. And I'm just giving y'all the facts. I'm giving y'all the meats with the potatoes. And y'all heard it here from me. That was just total disrespect in that regards. But that's not going to change how I feel about Sheryl Swoopes. She's still one of my favorites, but she has her own opinion, but I just can't take her serious right now. I just think she's pushing a different agenda. I think she's standing on business from a standpoint where she's not going to, back down on her takes, and she's just going to keep it going. And you just have to accept it and live with it. I mean, you can call it what you want to call it, and I think she knows what she's doing. And she's causing a stir, and I think it's causing a lot of attention on her podcast, Queen of the Courts. their numbers are going up because she's talking and causing controversy, and controversy sells. But you guys, let me know what y'all think about today's podcast. Please post your comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you got your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball Dropping drops another hot banger. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces. And remember, on your way out the door, do me a favor. Before you put your shoes on, give this video a thumbs up.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.